The boxes hoax continues to give because, courtesy of the Washington Post, we have the return of a sort of an earlier season Chapo character that I'd like to get into. This is according to the Washington Post, the headline is Trump rejected lawyers' efforts to avoid classified documents indictment. And the article begins, one of Donald Trump's new attorneys proposed an idea in the fall of 2022. The former president's team could try to arrange a settlement with the Justice Department. The attorney, Christopher Kise, wanted to quietly approach Justice to see if he could negotiate a settlement that would preclude charges, hoping Attorney General Merrick Garland and the department would want an exit ramp to avoid prosecuting a former president. Kise would hopefully take the temperature down, he told others, by promising a professional approach and a return of all the documents. But Trump was not interested after listening to other lawyers who urged a more pugilistic approach, so Kise never approached prosecutors. 3 people briefed on the matter said. A special counsel was appointed a month later. Then we get a little further in the article, and we get back to our old friend. It was a totally unforced error, said one person close to Trump, who has been part of dozens of discussions about the documents. We didn't have to be there. Here we go. Trump time and again rejected the advice from lawyers and advisors who urged him to cooperate and instead took the advice of Tom Fitton, the head of conservative Judicial Watch. It's Fitton's back, baby. Fitton's back. Now, Felix, I remember like years ago on this show, you just started talking about Tom Fitton like he was a family member, a relative, or a friend. And I was just like, who the fuck is Tom Fitton? And the answer is probably the swollest 60-year-old man on the planet.
He dwarfs Stallone. Dwarf is the wrong word, not a hard thing to do. Pretty much anyone, my niece could dwarf Stallone. But he would out-angle Stallone, Schwarzenegger. Pick any, 70-year-old guy who you think is jacked. Tom Fitton's bigger. He's stronger. And, how do I know this man? What does he do? Tom Fitton, he is the reason I know who Nellie and Bruce Orr are. He runs this thing called Judicial Watch, where all during the Trump years, he would post the most boring fucking articles on earth that were like, bombshell, Nellie Orr has to testify. He was like the one guy who was paying attention to all the Russia stuff from the Trump side and Obamagate, the scandal where they said that Obama spied on Trump. He was super into that and knew all these like boring DOJ bureaucrats who were going to be subpoenaed and FOIA'd everything. But to spice it up, and this is the reason he got famous and the reason that like those leathery MAGA babes made him a star. Like they saw him and were like, "You could be in movies. you have to come to Fond du Lac, Indiana, and party with me some dum." Is because he knew this stuff was boring. He would always attach a picture of his amazing physique, his triceps the size of fucking cantaloupes, his shoulders the size of bowling balls. He'd always attach like a thoughty picture of himself angled to perfection next to this boring ass story, and it always worked. It always worked.
You see a guy looking like that, and you're like, I'm clicking through. And then like the article is like, Trump needs a commando team to steal back the documents.
No, not even like that. It would be like, Trump needs to unleash the deputy undersecretary for the Solicitor General to sue Nellie Orr's secretary to, make sure that she actually did meet with Christopher Cross. But it was always stuff like that.
Tom Fitton, like it's one of those Charles Dickens like names where it's perfect for what you see, like Tom Fitman. And Felix, you're right. Every photo I see of this guy, it's like he's not in workout gear. He's always in some sort of like salmon colored button up shirt or whatever. But like every shirt he wears just looks 4 sizes too tight on him.
Yeah,
like it's bursting. Like the seams of the fabric are just shrieking out in pain.
Yeah, he wears like the Republican guy uniform, right? Like he wears like what Matt Schlapp wears on an undercover mission, perhaps. Like a polo shirt that's tucked in, some khakis, some penny loafers, perhaps, and one of those disgusting weaved belts that your dad wore.
Yeah, but there's like you could put the like there's no holes in it, like the so you can go through anything no matter how big you get.
That was like the biggest thing for fathers for like 100 years. But yeah, he wears that. But like those clothes have never been made for a guy that looks like that. No one planned on it, and he is testing the outer limits of the fabric with his incredible body.
There's a chamber in the basement of Judicial Watch where he can do push-ups at 10 G's. At like,
oh my, yeah. I'm really curious about not just his workout, though I think I have a pretty good idea. It's probably a regular like bodybuilding, hypertrophy, and volume workout. I'm curious about his chemical regimen. Of course, like if you asked him, he'd probably be like, I'm all natural, but like, how many fucking 63-year-olds look like that? Like, let's be real. He's at least on testosterone. That doesn't diminish from the accomplishment. It's still incredible, but I would like to know.
It's probably on that Vince McMahon cocktail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like growth hormone, testosterone from a doctor. Yeah.
Just a little bit more. It says Fitton, who appeared before the grand jury and was questioned about his role in both the Mar-a-Lago documents case and the investigation into the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, acknowledged he gave advice to Trump, but declined to discuss the details of their conversations. Going on, it says, I think what is lacking is the lawyers saying, I took this to be obstruction, said Fitton. Where is the conspiracy? I don't understand any of it. I think this is a trap. They had no business asking for the records, and they've manufactured an obstruction charge out of that. There are core constitutional issues that the indictment avoids, and the obstruction charge seems weak to me. Several other Trump advisors blamed Fitton for convincing Trump that he could keep the documents and repeatedly mentioning the Clinton socks case. Do you guys remember what the Clinton socks case was?
Are they talking about his cat?
Yeah, his cat. They had a
was
cat
the cat classified? Was it like the product of a government experiment or something? It was like a super intelligent cat. I know that he gave it to Betty Curry and it got ran over. That's all I remember about socks.
Okay, it's not actually the cat.
Oh,
though the Clintons probably they were probably forewarned about what SEO was. So in 30 years before Google, they were like, let's get a fucking cat, name it Socks. Because what they actually did is they put audio tapes in a sock drawer. So that's like, another fucking boring documents thing. But, at least there's some hint of time travel in this one.
I like the idea about the Clintons naming their cats Socks because they knew this was coming.
Well, yeah.
It got me. They said Clinton socks case, and I was thinking, what the fuck did they do?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well, you know how like Jeffrey Epstein went to the White House in like 1995, and there's like a 2-hour meeting that like no one knows anything about.
Yeah,
that was probably it. He was like, "Hey, I just got back from like 2010, and there's this thing called Google. What you're gonna want to do is like get a cute cat, and name him Socks, because you're putting tapes in a sock drawer."
He loop jumped back in time to warn them.
If anyone is a loop jumper, it's Jeff. He would have access to it.
Which means the end of his life in that cell, it did not necessarily preclude many of his other loops back in time where he's still living large. But
oh yeah.
I love the idea of like all of like Trump doesn't even have any lawyers left. I don't know who's representing him now, but they were all just like, there are so many off ramps here where they were like, you could just give the documents back. And he was like, no, they're mine. And that's all because of Tom Fitton. Because Tom Fitton is the one who kept telling him that you don't need to give them back. They're your papers.
Look at my lawyer, dog. He looks incredible, but I'm going to jail.